Hey, what's up, guys? Tolbert here. Coming at you with the video for Tuesday, 5/26. I don't have myself in here because this is the second or third time I've tried messing with this thing. It was messed up from when I lost my internet last week. Um, so I'm just keeping my fingers crossed that it actually works this time. We've made it. This is the last week for e-learning. We've only got 3 days um, worth of assignments to get done. And we're done with new assignments, and then it's just in cleanup mode with everything else. I have a meeting on Wednesday where I'll finally get some final directives towards grading and what grading means and everything else. Uh, I just want to say, number one, your F1 grade is a bit misleading because what it does is it's averaging out your grades from quarter three and quarter four that are typed in, but a lot of you have a lot of incompletes. And if those incompletes get typed in as zeros or 50s, you're no longer passing. And so this is your wake up call to go through and make sure that you're turning everything in, that you're as up to date as you possibly can be, and that we're ready to go um, for the end of the semester and getting grades typed in and everything else. Only 3 days worth of stuff. Today we're going to talk about the end of the Cold War. There's a small Cold War writing. I'll go ahead and click on it. It's basically 5 to 8 sentences on how the Cold War impacted the world and the United States, and try to compare it to how you think people reacted to it versus COVID. Is it similar? Is it different? Um, Pretty wide open. Write what you want to write. Make sure it's at least 5 to 8 sentences, and that you're tying back in some things that we learned about from the Cold War over this past week. Um, and then tomorrow, the plan is to hit up the War on Terror, and then we'll end on Thursday um, with kind of talking about where the world is now and the things that we'll be facing over the next little bit. Very quick notes today. Let's go ahead and jump into them so we can get them done. The end of the Cold War is really, really, really short. So the Cold War, all in all, guys, it lasted for about 30 years. And then it just got to the point where it couldn't keep going the way it was. And that was planned out that way by American President Ronald Reagan at the time. Reagan decided that he was going to end the Cold War by spending money and spending a lot of money. He put tons and tons and tons of money in American defense. He bought new weapons. He spent it on tanks. He spent it on everything. And why did he do it? Because the Soviet Union, aka Russia, was running out of money. And he knew that if he applied the pressure, that they couldn't keep up. And he was right. We got a lot of debt out of it, but he was right. And so that kind of puts us where we were. So we started putting tons of money in literally any weapons, any defense, anything that would mean the demise of the Soviet Union. And like the Soviets were fighting other people in Afghanistan. They were trying to spread communism. They were trying to make sure that their interests were protected. And so the United States went to the rebel groups in Afghanistan and gave them lots and lots of different weapons, gave them tanks, gave them rocket launchers, gave them AK-47s, and that was the huge slap in the face. The AK-47 is a Russian gun, but it's known for being extremely reliable, especially in the desert. And so the United States funded these rebels that were fighting out of Afghanistan against the Soviets, and they beat the Soviets, and that was kind of that idea of spending money to get what you ultimately wanted, which was the Soviet Union collapsing. This is a classic get slapped in the face, guys, and we're going to talk about this in Wednesday's lesson. But the rebel group that we were giving those weapons to ultimately ends up becoming Al Qaeda, the terror group responsible for 9/11 and the people that we fought in the war on terror in the remaining years. It's just that idea that, times can change. Uh, there's an old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So for example, let's say that I strongly dislike person A. Person B strongly dislikes person A. So person B and me have something in common, our hatred for person A. But that doesn't make us friends. We can work together to make sure that we beat person A. But at the end of the day, me and person B ain't got nothing in common except for the fact that we hate person A. And this is going to be something that really, really, really kind of blows up in our face a little bit. And so what ends up happening is the Soviet Union starts to feel the pressure of everything falling apart. And that's when this guy up here in the upper right hand corner with the birthmark on his forehead, his name is Mikhail Gorbachev. When he comes in, he saw the writing on the wall. And so he was trying to transition back to a form of government that could work where the Soviet Union didn't completely fall on its face. All while at the same time trying to make sure that the United States can maybe help them out and that they could go back and do this as peacefully as possible. And so the two big things that he pushed for was glasnost and perestroika, um, which is openness and the restructuring of society. And you can see um, Ronald Reagan sitting down with Mikhail Gorbachev um, across from one another. They had many, many, many peace talks. They got rid of a lot of weapons. They allowed weapons inspections. This is just kind of setting the stage for what ultimately is going to be the fall of communism. And that took place, guys, in 1989, whenever communism officially fell all the way apart, kind of asterisk next to that. There's a very famous speech in which Ronald Reagan was there, Mikhail Gorbachev was there. They were in Germany. Um, David Hasselhoff, who was for some reason loved by all Germans, he was a dude from Baywatch, the show about lifeguards where everybody wears their terrible swimsuits and they run around in slow motion. He sang a song. He was there. Um, and then Reagan goes, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And when that wall came down, that ended the Cold War symbolically and realistically, because then there wasn't that much left to fight for. However, communism still exists. Today, really, truly, the only real 100% communist country that we see is North Korea. Cuba is communist light. China is communist light. They're not full flavor communists. They're like Diet Coke. It's diet communism, um, where people don't have full freedoms and everything else. And you kind of see that here with Tiananmen Square, where college students were trying to protest for democracy, and the government went in with tanks and killed several of those students, and they opened up fire on the crowd and everything else. And so communism still exists today, however, not in the same way that it once existed. And democracy reigns victorious ish, kind of. And that's what we're going to really have to talk about tomorrow when we talk about the war on terror, because it's this idea that democracy is winning everything all around the world when I don't know if a form of government's winning. I feel like there wouldn't be people killing each other over it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Either way, guys. So take the stuff you've learned about the Cold War over the last few days, work on that Cold War writing, get it turned in for the assignment for Tuesday. We're going to keep on keeping on. After today's assignment, we've only got 2 more days, and I will see you guys for Wednesday's lesson. As always, if you need anything, hit me up in your mind, hit me up in an email, do whatever you need to do. I'm here for you. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.